God save the King!
Prince Louis was quick to help out his father Prince William and kept him looking sharp as he brushed down his uniform at Buckingham Palace this afternoon. The young royal, who turned 7 just a few weeks ago, took his seat next to the future king, 43, at the palace ahead of a celebration to mark the 80th anniversary of VE Day. As he sat down next to his father, who donned his military uniform, cheeky Louis turned to William and began to brush down the shoulder of his military jacket. The young royal sat alongside his parents and his older siblings Charlotte, 10, and George, 11, ahead of the parade held on Bank Holiday Monday. As the youngest Wales child, known for his cheeky antics at public events, helped to sharpen up his father, he was also pictured tugging on part of the uniform. And in typical Louis fashion, he also playfully stuck out his tongue while waiting for the action to begin. When Prince William, who was sat next to his youngest, pointed something out to Louis, the youngest Wales family member was quick to recreate his father's gesture. He was later seen clutching a fuzzy brown hot water bottle on what has been a significantly colder, overcast day in London than the past week, with temperatures plummeting to 14 degrees. Also in attendance at the parade were King Charles and Queen Camilla, who donned a royal blue coat dress, as the royal family watched commemorations marking the end of the Second World War in Europe. The royals observed a military procession from a specially built dais on the Queen Victoria Memorial outside Buckingham Palace, while thousands of people packed the streets as 4 days of commemorations began. Kate was pictured arriving in a car with Charlotte and Louis at about 11:45 a.m., while Charles and Camilla waved to the crowds from another vehicle shortly after before the royals took their seats. Hundreds of street parties are also being held across the country while formal military events take place in London, with the procession involving 1.300 members of the armed forces from Parliament Square to the Mall. This will be followed by the royal family watching a flypast of iconic Royal Air Force planes from the palace balcony, before Charles hosts a tea party for some of the last living heroes of the conflict as well as their families. The plans were long in place before Harry said his devastating loss in the Court of Appeal, which rejected his bid to reinstate his round-the-clock police bodyguard in the UK, meant his family could never return to Britain. Harry claimed in a dramatic BBC television interview last Friday that his father Charles will not speak to him and he does not know how much longer my father has, as he spoke of his hopes for reconciliation with his family. The Duke described his court defeat as a good old-fashioned establishment stitch-up, but his decision to speak out appears to have worsened the chances of an end to his estrangement, amid suggestions the King and his brother William will fear more than ever that any conversation with Harry would end up in the public domain. Meanwhile, Harry's wife Meghan Markle earlier posted a photo of him and their children in an apparent show of solidarity. The black and white image, which was not accompanied by a message on Meghan's Instagram, showed Harry, from behind, walking with Princess Lilibet on his shoulders and Prince Archie holding his hand in a garden. Today, Buckingham Palace hopes the position of senior royals at the forefront of VE Day commemorations will refocus attention on their unifying role and positive contribution to public life, as opposed to Harry's latest salvos. It is understood that, for the surviving veterans Sake, the fervent hope is that nothing will detract or distract from celebrating with full cheer and proud hearts that precious victory and those brave souls on this most special and poignant of anniversaries. A palace aide said, "The King, Queen and other members of the royal family are much looking forward to all the week's VE Day events, when they will unite with the rest of the nation and those across the Commonwealth and wider world in celebrating, commemorating and giving thanks to the wartime generation whose selfless devotion, duty and service should stand as an enduring example to us all, and must never be forgotten." Charles was wearing naval uniform No. 1 dress, with no medals or decorations, as his grandfather King George VI wore on the palace balcony on VE Day in 1945, while William wore RAF No. 1 uniform. Camilla was dressed in a sapphire blue wool crepe dress and coat, by Fiona Clare, with the 12th Royal Lances brooch, the regiment of her late father Major Bruce Shand. The Duke of Edinburgh wore Army No. 2 service dress of the Scots Guards, while Duke of Kent wore Field Marshal No. 2 service dress.